Hi, everybody. Writing a resume can be a daunting task, especially if you've never written one before or if you've never been taught how to write one. Today, I'm going to walk you through the basics of crafting an effective resume. We'll talk about the purpose of a resume, assessing your skills, what skills employers want to see in any applicant, how to develop strong accomplishment statements, and then we'll wrap up with how to format your resume. For any piece of business writing, it's important to first think about the purpose of your writing. In the case of a resume, it's to get a job interview. Sometimes you may be asked to submit a resume with a scholarship application or if you're applying to a competitive school or program. But for this lesson, we'll assume the purpose is to get a job interview. It's also important to keep in mind who your audience is every time you write something for professional purposes. If you're applying for a job, then your resume will most likely be looked at first by a busy recruiter or a human resources professional. So it's important to remember that the average time spent giving a first glance at a resume is 6 to 10 seconds. That means your resume needs to get the reader's attention quickly and make them want to know more about you. The main content of your resume will be all about your skills and experience. So we need to think about what employers are looking for whenever they read a resume. Every year, the National Association of Colleges and Employers surveys thousands of employers across the country to find out what skills they're looking for. You can see here from the 2019 survey that all of the top skills are general. We call these transferable skills because you can transfer them from one work context to another. You gain them by taking general education coursework, doing part-time jobs and internships, volunteering, and participating in clubs and organizations. It's also important for you to assess your own skills and experience before you write your resume. What kinds of problems do you like to solve? What classes did you do well in? What strengths and skills do you like using the most? What do other people say that you do well? What tasks and roles from the past did you enjoy the most? This is all part of your pre-writing activity to get ready to craft an effective resume. In addition to understanding what employers are looking for and identifying your own skills and experience, it's important that you target your resume to the specific job or role that you're going to be applying for. Let's take a look at a job description for a student assistant position on a college campus. Go ahead and hit pause while you take a closer look at the responsibilities. Okay, we can gather from this job description that this role requires customer service skills, good organizational skills, attention to detail, and some skills in creating flyers, calendars, and so on. It also requires some event coordination. Now, let's look at the minimum requirements to see if we're on track. Go ahead and hit pause again to take a closer look at the skills and requirements for this job. Here we see the specific skills and abilities this employer would like to see in applicants. Specific computer skills, communications, graphic design, event coordination, and even some physical ability. Once you've analyzed a job description and determined that you're a good fit for that role, it's time for you to start crafting a resume that will land you that interview. We'll get to formatting in a minute, but first, let's talk about how to write your bullet points in such a way that an employer will want to know more about you. One way to make yourself stand out from the crowd of applicants for a job is to write strong accomplishment statements. And a good way to understand how to write strong accomplishment statements is to remember the acronym s.t.a.r, STAR, which stands for situation or task, action, and result. In other words, what did you do, why did you do it, and what was the result? Here's an example of some bullet statements from a person who worked as a customer service specialist in a college office. We don't need to hit pause here to see that these bullets don't tell the reader very much. We know what they did, but we have no idea why or what resulted from their work. Let's assume this person did some deeper thinking about their experience as a customer service representative in the financial aid office using the s.t.a.r method. Here's what their bullet points might look like. Now you can immediately see that their bullet points contain much more impactful information and address all of the questions posed by the s.t.a.R method. Notice how they included some quantifiable data. Anything that can be verified with numbers, percentages, frequency, and so on adds impact to your bullet points. Next, we're going to talk about formatting your resume, but let me just say that there are all kinds of opinions out there on the way a resume would look. I mean, ask 10 different people for their opinion on your resume, and you're going to get 10 different opinions. And it's next to impossible for you to know what an employer is looking for unless they state explicitly in the job description what style they'd like to see on a resume. So here are some general rules of thumb to follow. First, keep it simple. Make it only one column. Use as much white space as possible. Don't include graphics or images in your resume unless you're applying for a job in that field. And do your best to keep your resume to only one page. Here's a sample resume, courtesy of our friends at San Jose State University in San Jose, California. Notice how the applicant's name is in nice, big, bold letters top and center, with contact information beneath. Don't include your street address, just city and state is enough. Use a professional-looking email address, and if you have a LinkedIn profile, include the URL. Next, there's an objective statement that specifies what role you're applying for. If you're a current student, you'll probably include your education next. List about 3 to 5 relevant courses there. Projects might come next if you've done projects in school that are related to the role that you want. Your resume should include relevant experience. It doesn't have to be paid experience as long as it's relevant to the role you're applying for. If you feel that your experience isn't relevant, you can call this section simply experience. After that, you can include activities, awards and honors, certifications, skills, or whatever you think is going to help you get an invitation to interview for that job. As you craft your resume, it's important to remember that many employers use applicant tracking systems to manage their recruitment process. There are a few things to remember about ATSs. First, you should upload your resume as a Word or PDF file. Don't use Pages or Google Docs. Second, use keywords from the job description in the context of your skills and experiences. This will help the ATS identify your resume as a good match for the job. Do your research on the company and try to match their expectations with industry terminology and words and phrases that seem to be part of their company culture. And use standard formatting. Avoid tables, graphics, text boxes, headers, footers, and so on. Those tend to mess with the ATS, and your resume might get rejected simply because of these formatting choices. Applying for any job is a gamble, but you can increase your odds of getting invited to an interview if you carefully analyze the job description, identify your skills and abilities and experience and how that matches with what the employer wants. When you write strong accomplishment statements and follow some general guidelines for good resume format. Good luck with your job hunt. Thanks for watching.